Hello, welcome to Layback with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock with the Salts. Dave, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, mate. Week 3, looking forward to this big card at Eagle Farm.
You said you were good second up. You said you were very good first up. How are you third up?
Yeah, I'm feeling fresh.
You good?
The weather's turned in Melbourne. It was a bludger of a day yesterday. It's nice and sunny outside today, so I'm feeling good.
Never rains in Melbourne, does it?
I'm feeling fine.
How good? Well, one place that does rain is Eagle Farm and Brisbane, and we're touching on the Group 1 Queensland Oaks. We've got plenty of black type races up there. We'll get stuck into that, but first, let's have a look at how we did last week with our lays. My best lay, I touched on it earlier, race 7 at Eagle Farm, number 16, Taxu. I don't like the setup, don't like the firmer track for him. We'll need it absolutely bucketing down on the day for him to get favours, and you are keen to lay which one?
Yeah, Cold Crusher, up in class, hasn't run time yet, and keen to be against. I feel he's too short.
Well, mate, Cold Crusher, not really given much chance.
No, he wasn't, but he was never going to get 1,400 metres, mate. Back to 1,200 for him, I reckon.
Yeah, Taxu as well. Our two lays are still running, so we did well last week. Need to get our best bets home. You weren't happy with the ride of your best bet
well,
last
you know,
week?
it was on an each-way basis, so it technically got home, but it should have won the race.
You reckon?
Oh, well, it got dragged back after a good beginning, a one-pace horse with a lightweight in the wet that's hard fit, but... Hey, you can't win them all, mate, but we got something back for the place.
You weren't too happy, and gee, they dived into it. Started 450 or something.
Yeah, it got absolutely whacked. So,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it didn't pay the bills, the overs, but what do? You can lay off a bit, mate, if you got the good price.
Exactly right. Yep. That's things you can do with Betfair. Now, a couple of things. We had a competition. We put it on our socials to chime in with your opinions on things that's grinding your gears, putting in the lay bin. We haven't got any specifically to put in the lay bin, but plenty of our followers do. I'll read a few out. You're going to pick a winner because we had a competition. I know a few of these people, so I'm going to be independent. I'm going to let you pick the winner.
We're all about integrity.
That's right. Let's roll into a couple of thoughts on the lay bin this week. And Charlie stepped in with the Chapel Street Nando's is now closed due to temporary staffing issues. So he's not happy with that. He wants to know where he's going to get his peri-peri fill up.
So he's laid a recession.
he's laid a recession. He's not happy, Charlie. I'm not a huge Nando's fan, to be honest, but there you go. Good on you, Charlie. Adam has come up with $7.50 Friday night AFL. Now, I'm with him. Bit late.
Yeah, I'm definitely with him, and I don't want to give away any spoiler alerts, mate, so keep reading through them.
Keep reading. Scott's not happy with the word versing. He wants it to be called verses. As a teacher, how do you sit with that?
Oh, I'm totally against the word versing. It's when I see that, I cringe. So if you use versing, please sort it out.
There you go. The Monaco Grand Prix. Now, this one, I was probably going to put the Monaco Grand Prix in the bin. In general, it's not a great Grand Prix. Are you an F1 fan?
Oh, I know it's a track that's it's hard to pass. Like if
filled with
you
history,
finish pole, you just win.
Basically, very hard to pass, and you can't really do it. And I'll tell you what, the start of the Grand Prix was delayed an hour and a half because it rained. Now, you don't delay Grand Prix because it's raining. Come on. They're the best drivers in the world. You got to start, and they can change tyres and sort it out. That's what it's here for. It's an entertainment business. Della 79, no sausage sizzle at Bunnings on the weekend. Yep, that's in the lay bin for sure.
That's a crime.
Yeah, it is a crime. James has put in the contest, or I won't say what he said, but the rivalry between Sydney and Victorian racing. I agree with that completely. We need to get on the same page as a industry.
Me too. Sydney just need to come to Victoria's level, and then we'll be right.
Gee, settled out. Lee, sports clubs that don't sell coffee, egg and bacon rolls on a Sunday morning when watching the kids' sport. Oh, I'm with him. I coach footy, and nothing better than a coffee and a sausage sizzle or a bacon and egg roll.
They must hate money.
Hate money. You Little Beauty put in incorrect track rating, something we touched on a couple of weeks ago. I agree wholeheartedly. Julian, lack of Thursday night AFL. This is a three-folded attack here. Julian's not happy this week. Lack of Thursday night AFL, heavy tracks, and the future demise of Sandown and the go-ahead of Caulfield in a track. Any opinion?
Yeah, Jules has got his hand in a few pies there. It makes it hard to pick it out, doesn't it?
That's right. He's not happy.
I agree with all of them.
He resembles the old Luke White there with his anger. Sean, having to buy last-minute flights to Melbourne after winning the competition. Oh, he's getting ahead of himself, Sean. Chrissy, who actually potted Luke White. People who text saying they have something to tell you and then take forever to actually say what they're saying. Luke White, your former, the guy you replaced on the show, is the worst at this. Never believe who called me, or something like that. And then it'll take 2 days to get back to you. It's just ridiculous.
My old lady does it all the time in the group chat, and it's just
painful.
Yeah, it's painful, exactly.
Ribeira, Sky Racing, split screens. I think we're all on the same page there.
He's done that. Ribeira's said that tweet about 68,000 times. So it's about time someone paid attention to it.
Too funny. Benny, people that say then rather than. Again. Than. Yeah. I'm with him there. And it's like the his and he's. You're a teacher, so you should be all over these.
Yeah, we're all teachers of English.
Anthony, we need to find the person who put chips under palmers and string them up. I'm with him.
Don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, well, you're impartial with that.
It just means you get more on your plate, doesn't it?
Fair enough.
I'm impartial.
Just get bigger plates.
Yeah.
Clarkey, free kicks in AFL this season. Yeah, we touched on that last week as well. Inconsistent, hard to follow. And Shane, people who say Sydney, Melbourne is the greatest city on earth, continue to move up north in droves. Well, Melbourne is the best city on earth.
Yeah, well,
so
it rained yesterday, but we get bugger all rain compared to everywhere else and get to experience every season. Yeah. I love Melbourne weather. People that pop Melbourne weather got no idea.
I agree. Now, have you got a winner for us, mate? Who wins the comp?
I do, mate. 7:50 p.m. Friday night AFL. It's got to go. I don't know why it's in that time slot. I know from 6 p.m. onwards is prime time.
Yep.
So I don't know what's on at 7, home and away.
Oh.
Ship that off.
Yep.
For prime time AFL.
You'd be a home and away fan.
Nah. Neighbours, mate. That's finished.
Neighbours.
No, but the other thing as well, like, people finish work late. If you're not knocking off before 6 on a Friday, who are you? And if you are, then just watch it at home.
Get a new job.
It's way too late. I'm 33 years old and it finishes past my bedtime, let alone if you're in primary school. So, yeah, bring it forward.
Now, we've done too much talking, but your movie review last week, well done. A few people were pretty happy with the Friends with Benefits commentary. The Gentleman I watched the other night, one of the greats. Where does it rate out of 5, mate?
Oh, it's a 5.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Off the top of my head, it goes to the top 10 probably movies of all time.
Wow,
it's an outstanding cast, well-made story, and give it a go if you haven't seen it before.
Hugh Grant, Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
What a movie.
You know I'm a big fan of McConaughey.
You are. All right, let's get stuck into some racing. That's what we're here for. We'll debate some favourites. Eagle Farm, Group 1 racing continues. Good 4 at Eagle Farm. Rail out 2 metres. The temperature, 23 degrees. We start with race 3. We'll be doing races 3 through to 10. Political Debate is the favourite here, $2.10, $2.20 on Betfair. You can lay him at $2.44. I want to hear what you've got to say about him, mate. Which side are you on?
What do you mean, blue, red or teal? I've drawn the lay side here, but
yes.
So I'm going to be honest. There's no way I'd be putting my money where my mouth is and laying this horse. He is a little bit short, but I can't see him drifting just because of the jockey-trainer combination and the way he hit the line last start. He profiles heat up 1,500. The one negative is that he's been beaten twice now in leader-dominated races, and this looks to be another race that's going to be on-speed dominated. But who's to say up to 1,500 metres now, James McDonald from Barrier 3 isn't going to be more positive on him. And, he didn't step that cleanly last start with Willie Pike on board, but he copped a massive check at the 1,000 metres and lost a lot of ground. So if he does settle closer, he's a hard horse to make a case against.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's clearly the deserved favourite. It's just price. That is the only query. He's pretty short, but I'm with him. I've got him clearly on top here. He rocketed up there with JJ Atkins markets. The stable know how to win JJ Atkins on the back of his last run. Now, his last start was enormous, Salts. He caught the eye and the sectionals backed it up. He was probably on the wrong part of the track too. He ran the fastest, 10, 8, 6 and 4 there. Was still coming to the line. He draws to settle closer, as you mentioned. 1,500 metres looks perfect now and he's got the right connections. So he's a hard horse to fault. Just the price is the only query, but 220 is about the right price and clearly on top for me.
Think so.
Let's get stuck into race 4, the Bill Carter Stakes listed 2-year-old fillies race. GYPSY GODDESS is favourite here. I've drawn the backside. She's drawn wide here, which is a query, but looks at a lot of speed. I think she can slot in. Rose of Shiraz is there. Bazik, Tequila Dancer's up there as well. Looks at a lot of tempo. I think she can slot in somewhere. It is a really tricky race, Salts. There's a lot of heavy form back onto a firm Eagle Farm track for GYPSY GODDESS. That's the query for me. She's been fantastic on heavy track runs in her past 2. Her sectional's been fantastic. She ran the fastest 1,000 metres on the day on debut, which is impressive for a 2-year-old filly. The second fastest 400 and 200 there as well. She dropped back to 1,100 metres last start, which tells me this was a real target race for the stable. I have a feeling that 1100 race was probably a bit of a trial for this to get some black type. So back to 1200 metres, James McDonald riding. She's a clear favourite and she's deserved favourite.
Yeah, I will note it was early in the day on a heavy 10 that she ran those fastest late splits on debut. Yep. So read into it as you will. That's the query for me is 2 runs on a heavy 10. Now, who knows? She might actually be better on top of the ground. But as we know, Eagle Farm, it's not for everyone. There's some horses that do fail their first go. It's going to be firm. It will be a good 4 there on the weekend. So she's going from 2 heavy 10 track runs to a good 4 run. And there's a very short run to the first corner here. So from that wide gate, I think she's either going to be trapped deep or be dragged back. So whether or not she handles this surface is the first query, and that barrier is the other one. So I think 7, 1, 9, 13 all rate thereabouts as well. So it's a price issue for me, and I'd be surprised if she kept firming. I think you'd probably get a better price on the exchange closer to jump.
Lay her now and back her later potentially and make some money that way, the old later back strategy. So you are hard against her?
I'm against her.
Yep.
The word hard's a bit aggressive, but I'm against.
Yep, no, that's fair. Boom Nova, you are not against Boom Nova. You came out and said you were happy to take the backside of this argument. Boom Nova in race 5, a handicap over 1,000 metres, another listed race. Why are you with Boom Nova, mate?
Yeah, well, it's hard to back, horses for courses. She's 2 from 2 at this track. They've both been at this trip, and they've both been in succession in her past 2 runs. So she's obviously flying. She's a mare in form. She's back on top of the ground, so she might regress. Last start was a massive career peak in the wet, but the start prior was on a firmer surface, and she rated a figure that can win this race as well. Samantha Collette retains a ride from that dominant win last start, and what she has is an ability to either lead or take a trail, and from barrier 4, that's the perfect scenario. You've got a horse in the race like Archer's Paradox, who's a very fast mare in her own right, but Boom Nova could potentially lead her, but if she doesn't, just take a beautiful trail, half cut, pick her lane, and it's a horse that's pretty hard to make a case against. You've
made a very good case for her and why she's favourite, Boom Nova. I agree. She's a hard horse to be against in a strong way, given her pattern, but if you pick apart those last 2 wins, they've gone slowly. 5.5 lengths slower to benchmark at the 600, class benchmark at the 600, and then 3.6 lengths slower as well in the last start. There looks a lot more pressure here. So that's a little query, whether that takes her out of the comfort zone, which she hasn't faced in the last 2. Firm track, Esther La Rocca has speed, Archer's Paradox has speed, as you said. She could probably slot in, but just that high pressure tempo is actually a good race as well. I can make a case for plenty of others that probably can't get her down to that $3 mark, $3.25, $3.40. If you get that, it's about right. But you've got Esther La Rocca, who rates really well. You've got Tony Gollon's pair, Garibaldi and Needop, who are really good horses. And Contemptuous brings good form into this. 82.
That's a good horse. In form, stable too. Consistently in form.
Correct.
Yeah.
82 days between runs for Contemptuous, but back to 1,000 metres, which he likes. So, yeah, it's just about price for me with Boom Nova. As you said, a hard horse to knock. Let's get to the Magic Millions Classic, a $500,000 race, if you don't mind, Salt. 1,600 metre race, and Walla with 4 of the 9 runners. Kiku is the favourite, $4.60 on Betfair. Average odds on the corporates are about that $4 mark. I'll let you go first here. You can make your case for it.
Yeah, well, have a go at the market. It's $4 favourite, and then between 4 and 10 the rest, and the ratings suggest that. It's a very open race, so potentially the best run in transit is the one that's going to win the race. And she's drawn barrier 1, Kiku, which you might view as a negative, but she's ran some really good races when she's drawn low and then been given a squeeze. So I think in a race that's lacking some tempo, James McDonald can use gate 1 and potentially take a trail, maybe 1 or 2 pairs back. And if that's the case, she's going to be right in the finish. She's out of a slow run mile race at Gosford last start, but she's run the fastest last 400 metres of the entire day there, and Rustic Steel's gone on 1 since at Scone in a decent deep race. So this race isn't as deep as that, and she's probably a length better on the soft, so this firmer Eagle Farm surface may be against her, but I think she is a bit of a map horse if ridden to be so, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a late change in tactic to ride her closer, and if that's the case, she's got a great turn of foot and can most certainly be in the finish.
Well, you can have her, mate. She's all yours. I can't have her at all, Kiku. Waller with 4 of the 9 runners. In a race like that, can you really be confident about backing the $4 favourite of his?
Confident enough.
confident enough.
Yeah, the others are just there to help the favourite win.
I don't know about that.
That's how he works, isn't it?
She's an easy horse to lay. She hasn't won in 11 races over 12 months, dating back to April 2021. No speed here as well. Real trappy kind of race. Who knows what Waller does with his in the race. And in tactics-wise, look out for some tactics changes. James McDonald on, which is a positive, but Colette off. Colette rides wet track superbly. Gets to a firm Eagle Farm track as well, which is another query. Now, she goes from Gosford to a firm Eagle Farm track. It's a completely different setup for her. Yamazaki and Nudge ran the Quinella in this race last year. They're both much better horses on top of the ground. I think they're huge players here. And Belle Plaisir is the only horse that doesn't come off wet track form and rates quite well. Her last win was enormous from the back, and a replica of that will see her going well. With a lack of tempo, I think what the horses with the best turn of foot can win this, and I do think that Belle Plaisir, Yamazaki and Nudge are those type of horses, and I can't have Kiku at all. So she's all yours, mate.
Agree with Yamazaki on top of the ground. This is actually her first run for Annabelle Neesham.
There you go. Yeah, new colours. I noticed that. All right, let's get stuck into, we'll touch on the feature races in a minute, but the weekly wash-up, Sultan. I know you're a big footy man. Upsets and comebacks in the AFL. Now, huge story here. Buddy suspended, obviously, but Richmond came into $1.10 after dominating the match early in the piece against Swans. Buddy wound back the clock. Incredible comeback for the Swans. He was enormous. Swans hit $9.80 in play before winning that match. GWS kicked 6 of the first 7 goals. They were $6.68 starting price, and they came into $1.75 before going on to lose. The other big upset, Freo. Started the match $5.70 with Melbourne $1.21. Melbourne were 25 points up at half-time, traded as low as $1.02 salts, and they got trounced in the last half. Freo kicked 12 goals to 1. It was a comeback and win for the ages. Fremantle traded as high as $50 in a 2-horse race. Unbelievable comeback there.
That $1.02 might have been because someone was reading my group chat, because I said in my group chat, I was watching, even when Stephen May went down, I was watching Melbourne's team defence, and I said to my mates, this is as good a team defence as you'll ever see. Like, COVID aside, this mob dead set might just not lose a game for the entire season. And from that very moment, they conceded 12 goals to 1.
So you're not a good AFL punter.
I've mozzed them.
Well done. Dead Can Man, the next headline. Dead Can Man rather than Red Can Man. Belmont race 9. Red Can Man beaten $1.01 in play. The winner God has chosen was matched at $890 for a tiny amount, but $550 was a bit matched there as well. Red Can Man looked home for all money there. I don't know if you caught that race. The other one, Amati traded $1.01 at Randwick race 2. Skip clear, worked through the inside, ducked away. Owen County, who traded as high as $100, picked him up and won by a length. He's down, if you don't mind. So, huge win, Owen County. I can't believe, watching that race again, that Amati traded $1.01 there. It was unbelievable price, to be honest.
Was there a spike, like in the caller's voice or something? Did he call it?
Or he just skipped. He did look, for a fleeting moment, he looked like he couldn't lose Amati, but Owen County was too strong late. That's all for the wash-up this week. Let's head back to Eagle Farm, races 7 to 10 here. Race 7 is a listed 1,500-metre race. Never Know More is your favourite. Open race, this. Never Know More, $4.20 on the corporates. About that $4.70 mark here, Salts, and you're with him?
Yeah, well, he hasn't won since the 6th of April 2019, and that's when I had about 4% body fat, mate. So a fair bit's gone under the bridge since then. So
You're looking all right,
it's been a long time between drinks for this fella, but he does set up very well to break a run of outs. And if you have a look at his last start, he was caught deep, and then that was this track and trip, and he moved up, made an early move under 61 kilos, and I thought he battled on really well under the circumstances. You got Tim Clark on now from a low draw. He handles all surfaces, and he gets 7 kilos of weight relief. So if he's up in the leading division, I think, I've got him mapped leaders back. With that weight, they always get off the rail there. A run will come. I think he's hard to beat at these weights. Yep.
We did talk about a couple of weeks ago, your first show, non-winners, and whether you treat them as non-winners or whether he whether you follow up, but he is trying still. Never know more.
Yeah,
so that's a positive.
That's the key.
He doesn't look like a pack chaser. He's still trying, but more seconds than a clock, this bloke. He finds one better all the time. I think he'll do it again here. Weight drop, yes. Good Barry, yes. Probably why he's favourite. But as you said, he hasn't won a race since 2019. Early, it was in March or April 2019. So now you want to come up and tell me to back him as favourites?
He's pretty well weighted though. When that 84 he's out of, you look, he's into an open handicap, a listed race.
Where does he map?
Fair income.
There's no speed here either. Our Birdsong could lead. Does he roll forward?
That will lead. Yeah. Well, that's what I think. Will
I think he has to settle close if he's
leaders back.
Chance.
I thought he'd settle.
Yeah. Really trappy race this. The whole race should probably be in the lay bin for me, to be honest.
It's so good.
It's an awful race. At her best, I think a.k.a. Soleil could win this. What she did first up, that win would probably win this. She's got a great turn of foot on her day. Bullfinch was fantastic last start. Great Eagle Farm horse as well. Vinco has the figures to win. Could be a field job in the quaddie, and I'm not taking Never No More as favourite, mate. So the best way for me to play it is just to lay Never No More. I can make a case for all others. A real trappy race, so I'll be doing that. Laying Never No More. Divisive horse this in the Moreton Cup, 1200 metres Group 2. KEMENTARI, the big special K. I'll go first here. I'm backing him. I don't know if I am backing him, but I've drawn the back side. Now, set weights looks absolutely perfect for Special K. He's 111 handicap rated horse. He's carrying 57 kilos. Conceding horses with handicap rating of 80 or in the 80s, 2 kilos. So he's extremely well weighted at the set weights. He's a class horse. The setup looks good for him. Whether I'm going to put my hard earned on him, that's the question at the price. But the 10,000 form has to be the right form. Him and Buller wasn't really a race set up for them, obviously. I thought Buller was good value early in the week. Now, been very well supported since then. But KEMENTARI's win prior at Randwick was really good. At his best, he's the one they have to beat, and he gets plenty of speed on. He'll be charging late, and I could see why he's favourite. Do I want to dive in? Probably not, but your point?
Yeah, well, let's preface this. You speak about non-winners. I think he certainly gets a bad rap. People still talk about him, what he was doing 3 years ago, but he's a winner now. Look at him. I know Nash was on when he took that inside run, but he burst through. You got to want that. So he's a horse that's still got desire to be there. So that's one thing in his favour. But what is against him is he's had 5 goes at Eagle Farm and he's just placed the once. So this is a horse that doesn't really enjoy this track. And his last start here, it was in the Doomben 10,000, but it was on this track and he was poor. He was well beaten. And I think from this wide alley, I think he has to get back. And I don't think the race is going to be run to suit. There's not a heap of speed in this race. You have a look at the map, who's going forward. Prime Candidate will come across, Sir Warwick, Centrefire, kick up, but I think he's back on that and they just find their spots, and I'm not sure if the speed's going to be on for him to run on, and he doesn't love this track. And from that gate, like I mentioned before, the 1200 metre start is a short run to the turn, so you just got to cop your medicine. So I think you might spot him too far. There
you go. Do you have a leaning to another horse, or are you just going to lay KEMENTARI?
No, I think he's just too short. It's a difficult race to map and predict who's going to settle where, and there's plenty of horses at these set weights that rate right in the finish, but a horse like Nicanova, Wonderbar at their best can win. She obviously wants it a bit wetter, but I just think he's far too short given his record at Eagle Farm, and I'm happy to be against based on that alone.
Yep, fair enough. Salt's leaning to lane KEMENTARI there. Now, the Eagle Farm is one of those tracks, and I've said it last week, I've said it in the past, it's a horses for courses type track. You need to go well, and it's easy to lay horses that haven't got a good record at Eagle Farm for mine. Really weird sand base, dries out really well, and you see massive margins throughout the field. So that has to be a worry there for Special K. Let's get to the Group 1, the Queensland Oaks. GYPSY Goddess is favourite, $4.20 on the corporates. You can get $4.50 here. You can layer at about that $5 mark at the moment. GYPSY Goddess. You can go first here, Salts. You keen to lay or?
Yeah, she's drawn wide. You have a look at the field now and you look, say, barrier 22, and it's a bit intimidating. She'll come into 17 after scratchings, which is still wide, and it's going to take an absolute wave of the magician's wand from Pikey from that particular barrier. But you look at the ride on Pinarello last start. I know Pikey wasn't on, but it can happen from out there, and that was an absolute perler. But I think, you have a look at her last start. She beat Dynasties on the Gold Coast and had Dynasties back and couldn't quite pick her up. And that filly is here today, but has failed dismally. since back in Sydney against the older horses. So I know that she's been aimed up at this Gypsy Goddess, but you're looking at a horse that's beaten her fair square last start that has failed, whether or not that's the right form race. I think that form race with Barb Raider the other week, that was last week, was it?
Yep, last week.
Yeah, last week. That's a good form race. And you know, the Adelaide race prior, the Australasian Oaks that Barb Raider came out, you got Glinta Hope coming through that. That race rated really well as well. So I think she's a bit short from this barrier. I know she's got a good record at Eagle Farm, and that's what we've spoken about, like horses for courses. She's a horse that does enjoy this track, but it's going to take a very, very good ride for her to be within striking distance, rounding for home from that barrier, because she's a get-back horse.
Yep.
So I'm against from that particular gate.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Van Dyke has said he's given Pike instructions at his last two to go back on her. And he's not giving Pike instructions this week.
Yep.
So whether Pike tries to slot in a bit closer, I dare say if they draw on 4 to 10, she'd be close.
when he draws low, he'll give him a squeeze, and when he draws wide, he'll usually take him back. So
100%.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting nuance. I'm surprised you're keen on the Group 2 Roses form with Barb Raider, because Gypsy Goddess ties in really positively through Smirk and Gin Martini, beaten both of those two by more margins than Barb Raider did so last week. So the form ties in. Aravine's the only horse that kind of brings different form into this race, and I was surprised to see Aravine so short, but that's probably why. All the others kind of tie in through similar horses. Aravine ties in a little bit through Sydney form, but she brings completely different form. Why am I backing Gypsy Goddess, Dave? As you said, Eagle Farm 2 from 2. I think she's the best horse in this race, Gypsy Goddess. It's just the barriers, the query, but she ran the fastest 200 of the day behind Dynasty's last start, which is incredible over 1,800 metres. I can see a little bit of a replica happening of last start, with Dynasty's just having a horse with that length or two advantage in run, just not being able to pick up. But she's the best horse in the race. In her 8 career runs, she's run the fastest 400 and 200 and 6 of those. So she's a real line chaser. She loves chasing the line. She charges late. I think she's the best horse, and I can see why she's favourite, and I'm happy to be with her. She ties in positively through those horses, through Barb Raider. So deserved favourite for me. I could back her. I could even have something Aravine. They're both $4.50 on Betfair, around that mark. Aravine might be $5. You can back them both, save Aravine maybe, but that's my play there.
You might even get a better price about Aravine, because her figures don't have her as this $4 or $5 price.
But she's so short.
She's priced on potential improvement, because what she's done is improved several lengths at each start this prep. So she's priced on where she might get to, but the market doesn't usually gravitate to where they think horses are going to get to. They gravitate to what horses have done. So you might get a better price about her.
Spot on, I agree. The other interesting thing to note about Gypsy Goddess is her in-play price here. I'll be really fascinated to see where she ends up and what she trades. If she trades $5.50 and gets back anyway, or she might even hit $6, $7, who knows if she gets back. So just follow that. You might even put a little bet in play at a big price if you map her to go back anyway. So see how you go there, Dave. The Queensland Day Stakes, race 10, will finish off 1,200 metre race. Another listed race. Thelric here is a favourite. I can see why, but you can make the case for him.
Yeah, well, he's 3 from 4 since he was gelded, so obviously that's very positive. And the only loss was a first up flop, and since then he's been absolutely dominant. He's strung 3 together, and you've got to be a good horse to put 3 together, regardless of where you're winning. But his has been in Metro grade, and he does get a little bit of weight relief here to come back and race against his own age, which is obviously a positive. He was there to be beaten last start. He was even money favourite. An American president was there to beat him, and I feel like he dug really deep over that 1,100 metres at Scone, and the way that he just kept grinding along, it told me that he's sort of looking for 1,200 metres now. He's been tried at those shorter, first up 900, then 1,000, 1,100 metres last start. I think he's looking for 1,200 metres now, and he should get some nice cover from barrier 9 and probably find the best lane come this late in the card. So I think he's hard to make a case against. The only slight negative is the going, because he's been going around on tracks that have a bit of give in him, but I think he's flying and he's hard to make a case against.
Yeah, I do think it's hard to make a case against. He's won 3 in a row, as you said. All have been on heavy tracks. Completely different setup here. It gets to a firm Eagle Farm track. It'll be rock hard by race 10 on the day. That's a huge query for mine. Bowman in the last, I I told you this off air. I don't like backing him in the last race. It's a big day, 10 races. He'll be thinking about showers.
Yeah, he's already off and making his mee goring.
I think
depending on how big a day he's had.
He'd be eating more than mee goring, I reckon, mate. Eating better than that. I don't love backing Bowman in the last. We saw him with El Bueno late in the day, last start. Just get too far back. He'll be thinking about having a warm shower. Yet to win at 1,200 metres, this horse. That's another query. So a completely different setup for me. I'm happy to be against, not strongly against, but you go from heavy track runs, 1,000 metres, 1,100, up to a firm track, 1,200. Got to be a query for mine at that price. So I'm against a Thurwick there at the price. Let's get to your best bets on the day and your best lays, Salts. Hit me with your best.
Yeah, Flemington, HQ, love it there. Race 6, number 6, Lyrical Lad for Philip Stokes. And he's had 3 runs at 1,600 metres this prep, which have topped him up beautifully to 2,000 metres. And the clear best of those 3 runs was last start here at Flemington. He's run the fastest last 200 of the entire meet, and he was held up a little bit and out late, and he really burst clear. He's had 1 go at 2,000 metres, and that was at Caulfield, and he wasn't disgraced. It's a race beaten by Nerve Not Verve. Daikon Sweet Jr., who's went on to win the Adelaide Cup. It's a very good form race, and I think he's primed for 2,000 metres this time in, and any rain. The track's currently a heavy 8, but it'll be in the soft range.
It'll be fine.
It won't be good though. He'll enjoy some give in the track because he's certainly a horse that does enjoy that. He got that here last start, and he's won on a heavy 10 before. So I think he settles midfield for Jamie Mott, and I think he powers over the top of him. I think he's a great bet.
Flemington race 6, number 6, Lyrical Lad there for Dave. Your best lay comes up with Moreville?
Yeah, Moreville race 6, number 2, Brothers Shadow. He's had 2 goes at 1,200 metres, and he's flopped badly twice. One of those was last start at Moreville. He led over 1,200 metres again and dropped out badly. Now all of a sudden he's favoured over 1,400 metres. There's absolutely in a similar grade with the same weight. So there's absolutely nothing in his profile to say that he should be favourite over 7 furlongs whatsoever, and he'll either drift or be scratched because they'll realise he can't win.
If he scratches, he can't win, that's for sure. I love your confidence there, laying Brothers Shadow race 6 at Moreville, number 2. My best lay of the program is of the day, Eagle Farm race 6, number 2. Just can't come into this horse as favourite. I don't know why he's favourite or she's favourite. I'm really keen. Nudge Yamazaki, Belle Plaisir to beat her. I'll be laying her. She hasn't won for 12 months, so I'm against Kiku there, Eagle Farm race 6, number 2. The other one, my best bet, and I think you might agree with me here a little bit, is El Buena, Rose Hill race 10, number 5. Dynamic fresh run. As I said, Bowman got too far back on this horse first up. Looks a really nice setup here. She trialled enormously prior to first up run. He did, sorry. His sectionals were enormous. He had to do too much to get in that race. He just peaked fresh. He ran the fastest 1,000 metres and 800 metres of the day. It was late in the day too. That was a great effort. Second up, fitter, firmer surface and better barrier means he'll be very hard to beat El Bueno. So he's my best bet there, mates. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. That's a setup I adore when they've gotten back first up and then all of a sudden, they hit the line, then they draw a gate where they can settle closer. I think he's a no-brainer. Good get-out bet.
Anything else you like, mates, on the day? Question without notice?
There's plenty. How long have we got? How long's a piece of string?
Good. Where do we follow your tips, mate? On Twitter?
On Twitter. Handle? Yeah, it's Sultan Racing, _racing. Yep.
There you go. So follow Dave on Twitter. All his bests and other bets will be up there. You can follow him. Thanks for joining me, mates.
Yeah, it's been good. Been a good 3 weeks. We'll have a little break now.
Oh, we'll see how we go. We're not sure of the future yet, but we might call you back. Who knows? We'll just talk off air about your performance and do a performance review. We'll call you. We'll see how we go, mate. But it's been an absolute pleasure for the last 3 weeks anyway. So thank you for joining us on Layback with Betfair. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.